When people face difficult times in their lives, some people turn to friends, some people turn to family, and some people actually turn to complete strangers on social media. But the reality of the matter is, there's a lot of people that turn to substances in the form of drugs or alcohol to take them away from the moment, take them away from reality. I'm Ron, coming to you live from the west side of that 505, which is Albuquerque, New Mexico. And today's podcast episode is about addiction. How did you get yourself into this situation? Lessons that you have learned, and more importantly, how did you get yourself away from it? What up, what up, what up? You are on with Ron. What's your name and where you from?
My name's Tammy Lynn Connors, and I am from Texas.
Tammy Lynn Connors. You said your whole government name.
The whole government name, yeah.
Okay. So today I am doing a podcast about addiction. And I understand that there's a difference between somebody that uses or drinks on a regular basis, kind of, and there's a difference between a person that is dependent on drugs or alcohol. In this case, do you mind telling me what your category was?
Definitely alcohol was my drug of choice. I used other things too, but alcohol was what I was dependent on.
So alcohol.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start. And I don't know how long ago this was that you had this addiction, but at what age did you first have your first drink?
Oh, 12.
12.
Yeah, I was 12.
And how did that occur?
Just my whole family was, hold on, Ron, sorry. My whole family drank. So that was normal. It was kind of normal that, Irish Catholic family.
And is this like drinking beer or like alcohol?
Yeah,
like
it was beer with my cousins,
Okay.
young and messing around. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first drink was at 12. And then it progressed. Did you continue on drinking after that, or was it just an occasional thing?
So at the younger ages, it was just an occasional thing. And honestly, I didn't really go full-fledged into my addiction, my drinking career, as I called it, until I was 30 years old. So yeah, it was a while. I mean, I drank, yes, and I had a lot of different times in my life that I partied, but I wasn't physically and mentally addicted to it until I was
Okay. So once you started drinking, is there a particular reason why you said a alcohol career? Is there a particular reason that shot you to that point, or did you just start drinking? Because it's easy to just you drink some alcohol like every other day, this, that, and the other, and then you fall into that category of drinking every day. And a lot of people don't understand that it doesn't have to be trauma in your life to become addicted to something.
Correct.
Was there something that pushed you towards your alcohol career?
Well, so I mean, we have to kind of go back. Can I go back a little bit
Please,
to just
yes.
give you a little reference to that? So, like I said, I came from an Irish Catholic family that a lot of drinking. My father was an alcoholic, very abusive to my mom, and he passed away at the young age of 34 from alcoholism.
Oh,
He actually drowned in our bathtub, and
okay.
he had been sick for a very long time. So that was like, for me, I was 13 and my sister was 8. And I was like, okay, there's no way that I'm ever going to be an alcoholic like my dad was. Like, how dare he pick that over our family? And
Right.
so as time went on, now throughout his usage, he was in and out of mental hospitals. Like, there was a lot that went on. So that affected me a lot through school because I got teased a lot because of that, and then things like that. So as I was growing up, I went into the crowds that would accept me like that. So the drinking and partying did happen a lot throughout my teenage years and things like that, but I wasn't
Okay.
necessarily addicted at that point. So
Got it.
yeah, and I had 2 children, and throughout that I was with a very abusive alcoholic crack addict for many years. And after I left him, I had lost my son. My one son was born in 1989, Chad, and my other son Cody was born in 1992. And Cody, at 6 months old, passed away from SIDS.
Oh,
So I had Chad, and I left the abusive relationship in 1994.
okay.
And so that's when I kind of well, that's when I really started drinking more. And it was in 94. It was with a
Okay.
relationship that I was in, and we partied a lot. So,
Right. So
yeah.
my question would be, because you said you were in an abusive relationship, and I guess he was your husband at the time,
The kid's dad, the boy's dad.
the
Yeah.
kid's
We
dad.
never got,
So if and you say he drank and did drugs as well.
yes.
So if you saw that pattern, especially you said your father had passed away, what made you stay in that type of relationship when he was mirroring what you didn't like about your father?
I was going to change him, Ron.
Oh, okay.
I was the one. Him and
You
I
were
had
the
been
one.
friends. We had been friends since we were like 12 years old. And so, and now when I ran into him after, because I was married for a short time, I ran into him after I had gotten divorced. Well, not really quite divorced yet, but um, yeah, I was like going to change him. I was going to be the one. He had just got out of prison for the second time, and I was going to be the one that was going to change this man.
Because
And
you had background, you had experience, you knew
sure,
the
sure,
do's and don'ts, the rights and the wrongs, and you was going to lay this all on
I,
him,
yep.
and he was going to understand and face his consequences no matter what. But he was going to kick the habit because you came along and let him know what he shouldn't be doing,
That's right. His best friend Tammy. Yep.
and that didn't work.
It did not. And
Okay.
and then it's kind of not funny, but funny. He had two other kids too. And I remember I'm really good friends with their mom, and well, we lost my bonus son in a car accident, but their mom always says to me, Tammy, I was 15 and so dumb. She's like,
Mm.
I can't even tell you what you were because you were in your 20s. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was gonna change them. I was gonna be the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that didn't work, and
No,
then you did have some trauma throughout your life, so you
sure.
started drinking.
Hmm.
Okay, and how often were you drinking when it led up to this point where you can say you were a full-blown alcoholic?
So I was drinking every day then at that point. So at that point I was working in bars, and things like that. But then I started dating somebody who he wasn't a bad guy. He just liked to fish a lot and drink a lot. And we went to a lot of
Right.
NASCAR races. So that
Okay.
was kind of the crowd that I was hanging around. So we drank beer every day. Like that's just what we did every day. Well, then in 1997, I decided that I didn't want to really live like that anymore. So I left him, and me and my son moved right by a golf course that I started working at. And that's when my drinking started.
The golf course, the good
Golf
old
course,
golf course.
the
That tea
golf
house will
course.
get you. That tea house will get you.
I'll tell you, that's
Okay.
exactly it. And
So
that's when
you
I started drinking every single day.
so you started drinking every day, and what was your choice of alcohol, or did it even matter?
Well, in the beginning, I drank mostly beer, but then at the end of my drinking career was vodka because that's pretty
Right.
much what every alcoholic does. That you go to
Drinks.
vodkas, you think people can't smell it and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
How many beers would you drink a day, you think?
Woo! It was well towards the end. It wasn't beer anymore. It was definitely vodka, and I could drink a fifth a day easily.
Easily.
I was a very functioning alcoholic, Ron. Like I worked 60 to 70 hours a week at the golf course, and I
Okay.
drank 60 to 70 hours a week at the golf course.
Ooh,
I
that's
I would just do little shots throughout my day just to keep me never
keep it
like
going.
right. I was never well, I shouldn't say I was never wasted because I was wasted plenty of times, but just to keep me going. So yeah.
Okay. So with the beers though, how many beers do you think when you first started out that you would drink a day?
Probably. I mean, beer wasn't that. I mean, I get off work and we'd have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 beers. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It'd be when I got off
Okay.
work. That part. It
And
was
then you transition to like liquor, like vodka.
well, yeah. That was always throughout the day because I could just pour myself a little shot and put a little cranberry juice or splash of something in it and drink that, and nobody would know. I drove a beer cart too, so
Right.
you got those little bottles on there. I did
What
the I did the inventory for the golf course too. So
I see where that's going.
yeah.
Okay. So, at what point in time did you notice that or realize that you had like a problem?
So it was probably like, let's see, I started the golf course in 97. So in probably 2000, right around 2000, I got really sick and I was in the hospital and they told me I had acute pancreatitis.
Okay.
Now, and they told me I should probably not drink for a while, is what they said. They didn't tell me to quit drinking, but they told me to not drink for a while. So probably for about 6 months, I didn't drink, but I'd sit at the bar and have an O'Doul's, a non-alcoholic drink. And so then after about 6 months, I felt better. So I started drinking again.
Okay.
So yeah, and then after that, I mean, I would get off work at the golf course and I would drive, which I, yes, I did drink and drive. And I know that I definitely shouldn't have, but I would drive like 10 miles up the road to this other place that was open later so I could sit there and drink. And we drink till 5 in the morning sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I got a job there, so I didn't have to do that.
Well, you might as well have gotten a job there.
Well, I did. It was
To
a
save
sport.
you some time, just like the golf course. You was at the golf course and you learned, or you took on a habit to drink at the golf course. If
Mhm.
you're at this other bar, save you driving time because you're right
No,
there working. You know
no,
what I mean?
it didn't really save me the driving time because I lived right across the street from the golf course.
Oh, really?
So this place was farther for me. Yeah, it was, but and that was in 2001. I went to it was a sports bar. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then that's when I started knowing that I was having a problem.
And at that point, when you realized that, what was your course of action? Like, what did you do for yourself, if anything? You just continued on drinking?
I just continued on drinking. At this point, I was so physically addicted that if I didn't drink, I was sick. Like
Right.
it was the morning shakes. If I didn't have 10 of those little airplane bottles in my car at a time, I was panicking. There was mornings I'd get up and I didn't have any alcohol. And I know it's going to sound crazy, and it is crazy because when you're like this, you are crazy.
Right.
I drink shots of Listerine in the morning just to get me to go to the store to get my alcohol.
You know what? I've seen that on Intervention
Mhm.
when somebody was drinking Listerine. And to me, if you're rinsing your mouth out with Listerine and you accidentally swallow it, it's like, oh my God, this is so disgusting. How do you swig Listerine like that, though?
You
So
just
you was not drinking to enjoy the taste of it. You were
no,
drinking for the feeling of being drunk.
no, I was more drinking to not be sick at this point.
Okay.
It wasn't even to be drunk anymore because this at that end point of my drinking career, it wasn't fun anymore. It was just to get by. It was just
Right.
to survive. And at this
Ooh.
point too, when you're at that point, I mean, you're so numb to everything. It's not even there's nothing that's good for you at all. You're
Okay.
just trying to stay not in that. I'd go in and out of the hospital a lot throughout that time. When I quit drinking, I weighed 85 pounds, if that tells you anything.
You said 85 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's thin.
It
That's
was bad. It was bad. I actually had a
okay.
friend of mine just not too long ago. Her and I went out to lunch, and she said to me, she said, I saw you at the gas station right before you quit drinking. She said, I went home and told her husband, I don't think Tammy's going to live much longer. And so, I'd had pancreatitis 3 times at that point. My liver was starting to fail. My eyes were yellow, that yellowish film that's
Right.
over an alcoholic's eyes. It was bad. It was bad, Ron.
Okay. But you had a good, what I would call at that time, probably a good friends base or good company around you.
They
Did
all
anyone ever try to step in and tell you, hey, you're going in the wrong direction?
Most of my friends drank like I did. So
Oh,
no. Yeah, no, when I quit there, I lost a lot of friends because they were like, you don't really have even my mom was like, Tammy, you're not an alcoholic because I wasn't your I just want to say I never want to say I wasn't your typical alcoholic, but I really wasn't because I was very functioning. And so
right,
my mom would look at an alcoholic like my dad. He was abusive, he lied, he cheated, he did all those things where I just worked and worked
right.
and worked. And so it was so no, my a lot of my friends, we all sat at the bar together and drank. That's what we did. So
Ooh,
yeah.
okay.
So when I quit drinking, I lost a lot of those friends.
So yeah, so it's kind of that birds of a feather flock together. You
Yeah,
don't get judged because you're all doing the same thing. So you
exactly.
just progressed on. But did anybody in that group that you know of reach the point that you reached? You said you were like 80 something pounds and you were in and out of the hospital. Did
Yeah.
anybody else face that type of trauma
No,
to themselves?
no,
No.
not that I saw. No.
Oh, so
None
that's
of
probably
them
really
were,
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are still sitting at the bar now. So
To this day.
to this day, yeah.
Wow. Telling stories about you when you used to work there back in the day.
Oh,
You know what I
listen,
mean?
my I have to share that little bit of a story. Before I was at the sports bar, I worked at a restaurant called Bob Evans we have here, and my old boss, um, it's kind of funny. I went and worked at the golf course again 2 years ago when I was here, and
Okay.
he would golf, and he told his son and a couple other guys, like, yeah, you would have never believed it. Tammy would come into work, her eyes would be all red, she'd smell of booze, and I know she's in there getting sick, but that girl, she'd show up and she would work. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not something we brag about, Chris.
Well, yeah, because there,
Yeah.
people do see it as a difference between a stumbling,
Yes.
alcoholic that's out of it versus a functioning person. And no
Yep.
matter if it's alcohol or drugs,
Right.
people tend not to pay a lot of attention if you can still function and get things accomplished, even though
Correct.
you do have a problem.
Correct.
So, and that's one of the things that people have to realize: just because you can handle what you're doing doesn't make it necessarily right.
Correct. Correct.
So your turning point was you reached that point where you said to yourself, enough is enough. And was it a sickness that made you do this, or was it your thought process to say, I'm done?
Well, this is my true God moment, I'm gonna call it,
Okay.
because like I said, at this point I weighed 85 pounds. I had gotten off work on a Saturday night. We had an upstairs and a downstairs, so I had managed all day. And as like I said, I drank throughout the day. I'd go in the cooler, drink, whatever. I went downstairs into the basement, partying with everybody, drinking with everybody, and it was a horrible night. And I was sitting in my boss's office, and somehow I can remember my friend saying this, but one of my good friends, she said, we have to call an ambulance now. I think she's going to die.
Oh,
So I get wheeled out of there on a stretcher. Now, mind you, we live in a little town, so everybody knows me. And so we get wheeled out. I get taken to the hospital, and my blood alcohol was 0.399. If people don't know what that is, Google it, and you'll find out that I was lucky to be alive.
yeah. 0.08 is
Legal.
the legal limit of being intoxicated.
Yeah. I was 0.3.
0.08.
I was 0.399.
And you was at 0.39. That means everything in your body was alcohol.
Yes. 100%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they gave me some IVs, hydrated me. They sent me home. I'll never forget this, Ron, because it really kind of bothers me now that I thought about it. But a yellow piece of paper that said refrain from drinking alcohol. It didn't say maybe you should check into a rehab or you probably need to do something because you're
Right.
not gonna make it. So I had my one friend drop me off at my other friend's house where I knew she had alcohol because I'm still detoxing and everything. I'm not
Right.
like, oh, because they gave me some IVs, I'm good. So I went there because I knew if I went to my mom and stepdad's, I wouldn't be able to drink there, but I could make sure that I could still drink at my friend's house. So I did. I went in a refrigerator like every hour, got a shot of whatever was in there, wine,
Mm.
whiskey. It doesn't matter at this point. This is where I say that my God moment because I drank that whole day and I was waitressing that night. Usually I was a manager, but on Sundays I would waitress sometimes. And I went to work inebriated. I'm sure I was still 0.399 at this point because I never stopped.
Right.
And I ended up getting fired from my job that day. Now, I believe that if I wouldn't have went to work that day and not got fired, I don't know if I would have quit the next day or not.
Oh, okay.
But I got fired. And of course, I begged for my job. Like, I'm a single mom, all the things. And my boss was like, Tammy, we just can't. And that was my turning point. And at that point, it wasn't about me, Ron. And I know that I talk about this a lot with people. It should be about you, why you quit.
Right.
But at this point in my life, it was about my son because I always get emotional when I talk about this because um, I didn't want my son to find me like we found my dad.
Right.
And that's what was going to happen because I think I would have maybe lived 2 to 3 more weeks if I wouldn't have stopped. And
Yeah.
so that was he was in his room, I was sitting in the living room, and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I literally looked out my window and I just started praying. And then I laid on my floor and I cried and I said, God, I can't do this on my own. Somehow, some way, I have to quit this.
Right.
And that was it. That was the day I quit. And God put some amazing people in my life throughout years that I was able to reach out to that helped walk me through. I always say I thank my boy's dad for just three things, my two boys, and showing me where AA was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to AA, no type of like inpatient rehab center. You just quit cold turkey and relied on the Lord and some of your friends that He put in front of you to get you through it.
That was it. And when I say when I talk to any doctors or nurses now and I tell them what my blood alcohol was and that, they tell me I'm a miracle because I should have been in a hospital under care because you could die easily. See, you could have seizures, your heart, all these things. People don't realize that the detox from alcohol is one of the most dangerous. Um,
Right.
your detox from a heroin is going to make you very, very sick, but most people wouldn't die from it.
Right.
Alcohol and barbiturates, like Xanax, things like that, those are the two things that can kill you when you
Yeah.
detox on your own. Yeah.
And
So,
I do investigations, and unfortunately, I have to do investigations on a few people that have been drinking and gotten an accident, and it's a fatality and so forth. And I've seen maybe a point two something.
mhm,
I always see point one somethings, but never even heard of somebody living with a point three alcohol level.
mhm.
So that it's a miracle that you even survived that, and
Yes,
it's even a bigger miracle that the hospital even let you go
I know.
with that tox test.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
why I say that it was for me. I believe that God was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get fired from your job. You're going to have no choice but to quit. And
okay.
yeah.
So how difficult was your recovery process?
So my first 6 weeks is when I went to AA meetings, and Ron,
Mhm.
I went 3 times a day. Um, I like I said, when I say God put the right people in my life, a good friend of mine's parents were pastors, so that's who I called first was her. I went over to her mom's house. I knocked on her door. She sat me down at the table. She prayed with me. She gave me a Bible. She told me, I want you to read the Psalms every day. And she gave me
Right.
like Psalms 1, 11, 21, 31, and then Psalms 2. And so I did that every single day. I got up in the morning. I went to my ex sister in law's house first thing, and I'd stay there until the first AA meeting. I would leave that AA meeting. I'd go to my friend Greg and Tanya's house. I would sit at their house till the next AA meeting. I go to the next AA meeting and I go sit at my friend Tammy and Bridget and their husband's house, and I would sit there every day. I did that for 6 weeks straight. I
Three
knocked on their
times a day.
3 times a day. I had to do something because that bottle of vodka was my best friend in the entire world, and I
And it
lost
was calling you every second of that
every
day when you
second.
were waiting.
And I knew that I had to fill my time. And I was
Mm,
so blessed to have those people that I knocked on their door every day and they opened it. Sometimes I'd sit there and we would just talk. Sometimes I'd just cry. Sometimes we wouldn't even say a word, but they just
right.
allowed me to sit there. I thank them every year on my sobriety date. Every year I thank them. Well, I thank them
Okay.
every day, but like publicly thank them. So yeah.
So the struggle was there for you, but you just
Sure.
occupied your time to make sure that you wouldn't turn back to fill your time with alcohol
Yeah,
use.
because
So
I
you
was
got
sick too during that time, of course, because
right,
I was detoxed for a little while, it wasn't like, "Oh, you feel great today," I'm only weighing 85 pounds, and, I mean, when I say vomiting, that's all I did, it was
right.
just all the time, so yeah, and and I mean, these friends, they had alcohol in their house, they weren't alcoholics, so they just had, they'd have things sitting there, and I'd open that refrigerator, and I'd see that bottle, and I'd be like, "Don't do it,"
Mm.
and I'd have to shut that door and just make myself be strong, you know?
Yeah, because now you had a bigger focus too. You're talking
Yes.
about your son, and then you found peace with the Lord and stuff like that. I don't know if you were always like that, but you had a bigger purpose than what you were doing. Like you
One
said earlier, it wasn't just about you, it was about others and the way that you were living.
Yeah.
So after the AA meetings, you continue to still go and either hang out with different folks, or how did that work?
I didn't go to AA after those 6 weeks.
No?
No.
So what did you do to get through?
I just, well, so those 6 weeks I didn't have a job. So
Okay.
for 6 and that's the other thing that I say, like, for 6 weeks I had no job, I had no income, but I called my landlord. I said, "Hey, listen, this is what's going on." They're like, "Okay, we'll work with you." and I was able to work with the electric company and everybody I was able to work with for those 6 weeks. Then I got a job at Bob Evans, actually, but this was before, this was after my other Bob
Right.
Evans. It was
Right.
with the same boss, but he knew that I was sober, and I started working there, and then I started working at a diner, and I just went to church and chose not to drink. And I am blessed that I have no desire in my soul to ever, I know I should never be complacent, but I've been sober 22 and a half years and I have no desire in my soul to ever drink. I bark that.
Congratulations to that. Yeah, that's a long time to just give up something that you were actually dependent on.
Yes.
You
Yes.
did say about the AA, and there's a lot of people out there that probably need that type of forum. Can you tell me one positive thing that came out of the AA meetings? Because I hear both sides. I hear there's some positivity that comes out of it, but there's some negative stuff, and that's pretty much with everything. But what was it about the AA meetings that was positive for you?
My best thing for the AA meetings, honestly, is hearing the stories. I love to hear stories. And so
Mhm.
when you hear somebody's story that has been through, I mean, these stories, people have been through the ringer and
Yeah,
come out, and they're sharing their stories of hope, and that's, to me, I 100% believe in AA. If somebody calls me and they're ready to get sober, I'll go sit with them at a meeting. I have no, it just wasn't something that I needed and depended on. But I know
right.
that I think that AA is a great thing. Look at how many lives it's saved, and
Yes. Yeah.
so many people go there, and but the best thing for me is always the stories of hope.
Yeah, because people love to hear the comparisons, oranges to oranges, apples to apples. You know what I mean? So when you go there, everyone's going there for a specific reason,
Yes.
and you can relate to a lot of things that people are telling their stories about because they're trying to get better as well.
Right.
Um, Throughout your time of you actually drinking, one of the things that people reach out and tell me about is the burning of the bridges, the family members, the like you said, the employers, and this, that, and the other. What is the biggest bridge that you can say you burned in the name of alcohol?
Ah, I'd have to say my son would be the biggest one because I didn't really I was just talking to somebody the other day, and it was a girl that I used to work with. We used to drink together a lot, and I wasn't I used to say I wasn't really your typical alcoholic because I didn't lie, I didn't cheat, I didn't steal. Well, that was bull because I did lie. I told my mom I was at work sometimes when I wasn't. I
Right.
did steal because I was stealing alcohol from my bosses. I didn't really cheat because I didn't really have anybody like that part. But so I didn't really ever burn any bridges. I was like who I am today, just I drank a lot,
Right. You
you know.
wasn't that crooked person that people couldn't
No, I didn't lie to
rely on
people.
or they couldn't
No,
trust. You
no.
just you did for you, and that was pretty much it.
Right. Like all my bosses would, well, actually I've worked at the golf course again, but they would hire me back today. It's just,
Right.
yeah. So
And that was
honestly, I can't answer that question to say that I burned bridges because I really didn't.
right. And that's what I was going to ask you too is how did to this point, how has your sobriety changed your life?
Oh, my sobriety's changed my life immensely because I I think a lot of it is I like to share my story of hope, and that's
Okay.
changed my life a lot because it's helped inspire other people to let them know that whatever we go through in life, we can get through. There's always hope. And
Right.
Ron, my 22 years of sobriety, the first, we'll say 5 years, definitely was a roller coaster of emotions and things like that. But
Hmm.
and throughout the years I've gone through a lot of struggles. I've lost my stepson in a car accident. I've lost
Right.
my mother. I've lost my sister. I've lost a good friend. I lost my best friend. Like I've lost a lot of people and I've had a lot of things happen in my life, but I've never had to go back and drink or drug again. And I think
Okay.
that's something that I like to share with others to let them know that we can get through all the things. And of course I'm a big believer, so I God gets me through all the things, but it's also this up here, your mind. you know
Correct.
you either control your mind or your mind controls you. So it's,
Right.
yeah.
And it's kind of scary nowadays because I see a lot of young kids. They grow up too fast or they try to be grown too fast. You have the the weed or in the what do you call the vape sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the alcohol that they have easy access to. If you can tell the average person, no matter if they're old or young, but mainly for these young folks, if you can give them one piece of advice, what would that advice be when it comes to alcohol consumption or just consuming this alcohol at a young age?
Well, for one thing, the legal age is 21, so wait till
It,
you're
it,
21. that, that so that's a big thing for me. I'm a big one. I'm like, well, the law is it's 21, but you know, I I guess because not everybody's an alcoholic and not everybody's an addict, right? There are
Correct.
people out there that I mean, I you probably can just go have a drink, Ron, and be all right and go home, right?
Yes.
And so my biggest thing is don't try it until you're old enough to try it. For one thing,
Right.
that's just my thing. But a lot of parents let their kids do it too. I have a couple nieces that I know. My son just told me the other day, he's like, Mom, I can't believe those girls. They're like 15 and 16 and they're out of control because their parents let them drink. And I'm
Yeah.
like, ugh. So, I mean, I don't really know. Like, I feel like just don't even go near it. If those are the group of people that you're hanging around, then you need to find some different people to hang around. If your friends
Yes.
are pressuring you, the peer pressure, you need to go talk to someone and be like, I can't hang around these people because it's going to lead you down a path of destruction. And nowadays, Ron, as you know, even a vape or a pill or something can be laced with fentanyl and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
done. I have a friend of mine whose kid was a great kid. He was 18 years old and he took one pill and it was fentanyl and she lost him. And it's heartbreaking. And that's what really needs to be shared out there. Like you do not know what's in this stuff nowadays.
Yeah. And especially these kids try so hard or it's big to try to fit into a group.
Mhm.
So if this group of people are cool and they're drinking and doing drugs and so forth, you think that you have to do the same thing. And it's hard to try to discourage some of these kids. Unfortunately, it takes a tragedy for some kids to kind of walk away. But hopefully, we'll find some systems to get these kids to do some other things outside of drugs and alcohol.
Right.
It's just the access is just so easy nowadays. Back when I was growing up, my parents had alcohol, but it was like put away somewhere, and there's no way you're going to the store and buying alcohol and so forth unless you had an older friend that's out of school and that's supplying you. Nowadays, it just to me it just seems so easy to get caught up in what is popular, like the
Right.
vapes and the drinking and stuff.
Right. And the
And
hardest
it's so easy to
thing,
get caught up. Period.
yeah, and I think the hardest thing for kids, and I'm a perfect example of it, and what you even said, like fitting in. And those are the group of people that you will fit in with because they accept you because that's who they are too, right?
Right.
So that's where you get that like that low self-esteem or the things that they're going through in life and they're trying to numb it and they're trying to block it. And my biggest recommendation for anybody, and I say this to kids all the time, like if you have something going on, you need to find someone that you can talk to, that you can
Right.
trust and
Okay.
talk to because that'll all build up inside you. That was my biggest thing. Like my self-esteem was so low and I fit into that crowd. And so
Right.
that's where I went was with that crowd.
Because they accepted you no matter what, at your
No
highs
matter
and
what.
your lows. They didn't ask
That's
you no
it.
questions. Just come on. As
Come
long
on.
as you bring a bottle with you, you're good to
Right.
go.
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just easy to get it wrapped up. When COVID hit, I was working from home, and there's like one morning I had this meeting or whatever, or class, and it was just boring. So I had like a beer, and then I had like two beers, and then the next day I had like these beers is not good, so let me just get a mixed drink. And eventually I was like drinking.
Right.
I had to step back and tell myself, hey man, mm-mm, you're getting out of control. But at least I caught it myself before I caught a serious issue to fall into the category of being an alcoholic. So that's
Yes,
a
and I think that many alcoholics came out of COVID. Like a lot of people, and especially a lot of women, they said, alcoholism rose with that too
yeah,
during
because
COVID.
you're there all day, and what you got is a drink. So if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be a little tipsy and so forth. So yeah, I can see how that got out of hand during COVID because I fell into that category too. But luckily I got a handle on it and I press on. I do drink to this day, but I don't drink to get drunk or, this, that, and the other. If I drink, it's like a social drink and,
Right.
then I just press on. But
Yeah.
okay. Words of encouragement. I really appreciate that you coming on. I salute you for your 22 years of sobriety and going. I like the fact that if anybody wants to kick their habit in your local area and they want to go to AA, that you're willing to go out with them. And
Absolutely.
You are one of the individuals that people should look up to because you were at the rock bottom and you survived what rock bottom looks like.
Mhm.
People have to realize that they don't have to hit rock bottom to quit doing what they're doing to manage a more profitable life.
Yeah.
You say after your sobriety, everything kind of changed for you, your health, your day-to-day activities. So there's always a positive. And just think about if you didn't survive, 22 years ago, to this day, we would not be holding this conversation.
Right.
And one of the things that I really like that you said is you start thinking it wasn't about you anymore. It was about other people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people take the selfish way of looking at it and it's all about themselves and have no idea on how they affect the ones that are around them that really love them and want to see them prevail. So
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, I thank you for your time on here.
Yeah.
I know you had, I don't know if it was a podcast or you were doing something with Hope on it. Do you still do that?
Yeah, I have a podcast. It's called Hope, Helping Other People Evolve. And so I interview people that have went through all kinds of struggles and gotten to a strength. So all stories of hope. Yeah.
And where do we find this at?
So my YouTube channel is my name, Tammy Lynn Connors, just like it's spelled. And then sorry, they're really noisy upstairs. It's and then my podcast is on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and it's Hope, but you got to put in the period. So you got to put H period, O period, P period, E period, and it'll come up. Yeah. And so I have like 165 episodes right now. I'm kind of slacking a little bit, so I got to get back on the train again. But yeah, just great stories, just to remind you that no matter what we go through in life, there is always hope and we can all get through everything. There's nothing we can't get through, there really isn't.
Right.
And I'm living proof of that because I've been through, I think, almost everything you could possibly have went through.
I hear you. We're glad that you're around and you get the chance to tell your story. You'll wake somebody up. No matter if it's one person is more than none. So I appreciate what you do. For those out there that's watching, make sure you check out her podcast. It's called, once again, Hope.
Yep.
And you can find her on just about every single avenue for a podcast. Make sure that you guys go out there and you support her and salute her for her years of sobriety.
Thank you, Ron.
So thank you. You have a wonderful day, and I'm pretty sure I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
While doing research on this topic, I read that there was a survey that was conducted, and there was about 27.9 million people that were addicted to alcohol. 27.9 million people. Now, you might know one of them. Instead of encouraging them to drink more and hanging out with that crowd or any crowd, you should encourage them to seek help. You are in that position to encourage someone to seek help. It's on them, ultimately, to do so. But do your part. Don't just sit there and watch them. Don't encourage them to drink more. Don't invite them to the parties. Invite them to seek the help that they really need. If it was you, you would want somebody to do it for yourself. Do me a favor, reach out to somebody that you haven't reached out to in a very long time to check up on them. You never know what they might be going through. If you yourself are going through something and you need to talk to someone and you can't find anyone else to talk to, make sure you reach out to me. Once again, thank you guys for your support. I'm going to holler at y'all.